Hey, friends, welcome to another episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. This is episode number 25, and the title of this episode is How to Make Your First 100K in Business While Being a Full-Time Mommy. In this episode, we are speaking with Courtney Gray, who is a certified life and business coach, a mother to 3 teenage boys, and the host of the Beautiful Entrepreneur podcast that is designed for mom entrepreneurs who want to grow their business and make money and enjoy life at the same time. Courtney, thank you so much for coming on. It's such an honor. For the guests, and this is their first time meeting you, can you please give us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you. So thank you for having me. So my name is Courtney Gray. My journey actually started, one addition to everything that you said is I'm actually a jewelry artist. That's kind of where my story got started, is I built with 3 little babies at home. When they were babies, I started a business because I'm a glass artist who makes jewelry. And I started this business that grew and grew. Literally, I think they were about 6 months when I started this business. And it grew within about 10 years to, the revenue of about $250,000 per year out of my garage.
Oh,
While
awesome.
being a mom of 3, while being a mom of 3 boys and being a stay-home mom. They weren't in daycare or school all day. It was, pick up and sports and all the things. So what happened was after I got to about right around $100,000, and I was loving it, but I started getting frustrated because I felt like I did not know what else to do. I almost felt like I've really tried all the things. I reached out to bloggers. I was doing Instagram. I was building my email list and everything was going well, but I was like, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. And so I joined a life coaching program and started to learn how to self-coach myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so transformative that then I ended up hiring a life coach to coach me. And then I ended up becoming a coach because it not only started making me a lot more money when I was able to, align my thoughts and take a look at what thoughts were holding me back and learn how to motivate myself, learn how to work even when you're not motivated. And the magic is that it started actually really positively affecting my whole family. Like when your teenage kids tell you that your education in life coaching is helping them. I
Yeah,
mean, that's kind of amazing.
that is amazing. And that's awesome for them to even recognize the change in
Mhm.
you. And kudos to you. It is so hard being a full-time mommy, being at home and like trying to run your business. I know for me, I struggle with it all the time with my 2 little boys. So what is your secret? How are you able to, make your first 100K in business
Mhm.
and while managing your sons? What are your secrets?
Well, the first secret, and I think that there's probably going to be a lot of your listeners that resonate with this, is as much as I loved being a stay-home mom, it really is what I wanted to do. I got to the point where I was bored. I was bored. I'm like, oh my God, I'm cleaning the kitchen again. Oh my God, we're going to the park again. And I was very lucky because I had kids that were very good sleepers. And so they would sometimes, like when they were, what is it, like 6 months, when they take a good nap, they would take like a 4-hour nap in the middle of
Oh,
the day.
wow.
So I know it was no joke. And so I had some time and I just was like, I can't just, at that time watch Oprah and clean the kitchen and go for a walk. I can't do that. So I was excited to start working. And so for me, I think the secret is, you know, being willing to fail and experiment. I think if I gave like the 4 secrets to like getting to $100,000, number 1 would be being willing to fail and experiment. And I think
Mhm.
a lot of women that I coach come to me and they feel like they have to have everything dialed in. They feel like they have to know what they're selling, how to sell it, who to talk to, what to post. They have to have all the answers, and that's just not true. And especially up to 100K, you are just coming up with an idea, getting excited about it, convincing yourself it's going to be amazing, doing it, and then 90% of the time it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And can you keep going and going and going, right?
Hmm.
That is, I feel like, the first step. And I think the next step is being able to make powerful decisions and moving quickly. I think that indecision is like rampant out there. I mean, so many women, people in general, but women, especially in business, they want to make a decision and they just can't. Again, I think this goes back to wanting to know for sure that it's going to work. And we just
Yeah.
aren't going to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to have like our crystal ball and be like, is this the right thing for me? Yeah, totally. It's analysis paralysis. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. But here's what I think. When you are going through analysis paralysis, when you're going through confusion, those emotions, really what they're doing is they just keep you safe. Because once you make a decision, then you actually have to get to work, and then there's possibly failure involved. I mean, I think about people who I've been talking to for years that have been like, I want to write a book. And they literally have been talking about, but I don't know. And I wouldn't know. Do I self-publish? Do I not? And it's this, ongoing confusion, because then they don't have to write the book, and possibly no one's going to want it. Possibly people are going to give them feedback that they don't like. It just really does keep them safe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like the little gremlin in our head is like wants to hold us back, and it doesn't want us to propel forward. So, and it's a loud voice, and it's louder for others. And I know it's something, I'm my own worst enemy. And I know it's something that I'm working through myself, with the podcast and things like that. So how do you help women kind of like push that aside? Like, what is some tips that someone can do today to move forward, to kind of push back that little gremlin in their head and, move forward to live the life that they want to live,
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think the first step would be realizing that that little voice in your head is not going anywhere. And it's really supposed to be there. I think sometimes we think that we're the only ones that have these thoughts. You go to do a podcast and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know if that was good. I don't know if I had good enough questions. You have all these thoughts about it. Those are totally normal, and they're probably not going anywhere. And so can you actually see them? Like, it's almost like Joe Dispenza talks about, he's like a big on meditation and choosing your thoughts and all that. And he always talks about like almost being the looker or the observer of your mind, right? When you have one of those thoughts going, oh, that's so interesting, there I go again. Yeah. I tell myself that a lot. And a lot of times you and me, we have the same thoughts. I have my own thoughts and you have your own thoughts that continue to loop in our head about different things. You go to bed at night and you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe I yelled. I really shouldn't yell. Oh my God. We have these same things we say to ourselves. We put something on social media and then we're like, oh my God, no one's even liking it. Why am I even doing this? This isn't resonating. I don't even know who I'm talking to.
Exactly. I do that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, what am I even doing?
Yes. And here's what I think is that people a lot of times get stuck because they don't realize that all the people making millions of dollars have those thoughts too. They just don't engage with them. They don't believe them. They are choosing new thoughts. And when you start to be able to look at your mind, and this is what working with a life coach is all about, is they say, hey, you have some limiting beliefs, and let me teach you how to acknowledge them and how to move through them and choose other thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's one tip that's really powerful is like, if you're ever in a situation when you're even having a bad day or you're really struggling around a decision, you can literally do a huge like thought download of all of your thoughts. Like, just start writing, I am losing my mind because da 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 da. And start writing it all on a piece of paper. And then if you look back over that, how much of that is actually fact? Hardly any of it will be fact, right? Yeah. You might say my son's sick. That might be fact, but all the other, BS that you're saying is just thoughts, and those thoughts are optional.
Yeah. It's just like jumbled thoughts. And there is some like therapeutic release when you do write things down. And then sometimes like I notice like if I did that and I write something down and I go back and I read it, I'm like, I sound super pathetic right now, like this is not like winner's mentality. I'm having a loser's mentality in my head, talking about all the wah-wahs and the what ifs and my scaredness, like you're never going to get to where you're going to go if you're just having, like I said, a loser mentality. And
especially you can even go back through that. You can even go back through that list and underline anything that's factual. And then it really gives you a visual, wow, these are all just thoughts that I am choosing. Do I want to choose these thoughts? Because clearly they're making me feel like crap.
Yeah. So my other question too is like, how do you what are some tips to like keep women motivated? I know like if there is something like you fail at something, sometimes you want to give up, even though that's a learning lesson, or life throws something at you, like you're moving your house and you're moving locations and it was a sudden surprise. Like, how do you stay motivated and at the task at hand?
Yes, that's such a great question. So, I have a practice that I've been doing for over 5 years that I think has been a game changer for me.
Mm-hmm.
It is every morning I get up and with my coffee, I will sit there and I will write 5 things I'm grateful for. And this sounds so kind of cheesy and corny, but I promise you it's gold. I write 5 things I'm grateful for, but not things like I'm grateful for my family's health, although of course you and I are both grateful for our family's health for sure. But right, like in this moment, what am I grateful for today? And I always like tell my clients that like, if it's a beautiful, sunny, hot day, that is like number because
Yeah.
I don't love the rain. I don't love the cold. And so I will look outside and go, oh my God, I'm so happy that it's warm, or I'm so happy for this coffee, or I'm so glad that I went in the hot tub with my mom last night, or what, just things that literally in your like present moment that you can find joy. And they're usually very simple things.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I do is I literally write down all of my goals that I'm working on, basically my visions for the future. Sometimes they're 6 months out. Sometimes they're 2 years, 10 years out. I write them down as if they have already happened.
Okay.
So I will write, like, I'm on stage speaking to thousands of women. I have, thousands of people every week listening to my podcast. I like write these things down. I have a Range Rover, like all different random things. I write these down and then I take a moment to actually like be excited about them in advance.
Yeah. And like feel the emotion. I know one thing I've been talking to a lot of people and not only write it down, but like feel it like within you, like within your soul, like that you have it and it's going to be yours and it belongs to you.
Yes.
I
And
think
what
there's something
that
with
does,
that.
yeah, well, I think what that does is it starts to really make you believe it's possible. And, one of the things I think with people, the reason I love powerfully saying you can make $100,000 in your business is, especially women, most women do not think that at all is possible for them.
Yeah.
And the main reason they don't think it's possible is like one or two things. First of all, they don't really see other people around them doing it. Right. If they're like a network marketer, they might know like someone high up in the company who got the car and who's doing it, but they're like, I couldn't do that. But they don't know a lot of, it's not like their 5 best friends are doing it. So they have all this evidence that's possible.
Yeah.
But they also don't know how it's possible. So you need to really start training your brain that it is possible, even though you don't know the how.
Yeah. And so yeah, going back to like the 100K thing for business, how did you get there? I know you mentioned a little bit briefly, like kind of what you did, but what can someone take away who's thinking about going after that career and making that first 100K?
Yeah. Well, it's exciting because I made 100K originally in my jewelry business, and that was a product-based business. And now I'm learning how to make 100K in a service-based business. So it's so fun being able to do both. And so with my jewelry business, and for both businesses, again, it's all just, here's an idea, let me try it out. Here's an idea, let me try it out. That worked, let me try it. Okay, that was working and it's now not working. How can I do it again? And for my jewelry business, getting to 100K, it was trying everything. I like sent product to bloggers, but now I would say, yes, send product to bloggers, but it's a different time now. 10 years ago, it's bloggers and influencers. Said bloggers, but I meant influencers. It was a whole different ball game. It went at the beginning, influencers were where it was at, sending the product, they post it. It was wild. The results aren't there quite as much, like I was one of the first people I knew who went live on Facebook and who posted videos to Facebook. I remember posting my first video to Facebook. I thought I was going to throw up when I was filming it. And because it was so terrifying. And again, you have to remember, this was like 15 years ago, right? So I'm 45 now. This was 15 years ago. No one I knew, no small businesses were posting videos to Facebook. I had gone on vacation. I had read a book by Gary Vaynerchuk. And now a lot of people know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, but back then no one really knew who he was.
Yeah.
And it talked about video is going to be the future. And so I'm like, I'm doing this now. And so I wrote this script, memorized it for 3 hours, made this video. It was so awkward. And I must have had 6,000 people watched it from beginning till end within the first half hour.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I know. Well, but these were just different times.
Yeah.
It's not that the video was so awesome, because I assure you it was not. It was different times. It was different times. So I was willing to do something terrifying and put myself out there. And so how I got to 100K was just doing things over and over and over again and giving things a try. I will say another thing that I advise, especially women entrepreneurs, that choose pricing that you are actually making money with. Yeah. It has nothing to do about your value or your worthiness. I hear that whole quote, price yourself, I forget what it is, but it's something about what you're worth.
Yeah.
What can you get for this product? What will your customer pay? What's a no-brainer for them? How can you over deliver and make some money? There's so many entrepreneurs, especially women out there, that are selling things and they're not even making much money on it. And it's a disservice to them.
Yeah. And it's probably discouraging, and then you lose the motivation, and then it's like a spiral fall. And then all of a sudden you're just not even doing it anymore because you're not seeing any benefit. So it totally makes sense. So what are some key takeaway, that each woman should know about starting their own career? What are some key takeaways that someone should know?
Yeah, I think that probably the first thing is to think big. I think that, again, we think we can't imagine something happening. And so that stops us, but think big for yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're deciding, a lot of times women have an idea of what they want to do, for sure. People don't just say, I literally have no ideas. They have an idea of what they want to do, but they come up with all the reasons why it's not likely to work, all the reasons why it's going to be difficult. I'm sure you probably went through this when you started your podcast and you've got kids and you're like, when am I going to do it? You came up with all these reasons why it was going to be hard, but clearly you were able to manage your mind and go, but I'm going to make it work. And here's all the reasons why it can work.
Yeah.
And here's all the reasons why it's going to explode my life in so many amazing ways. So you need to kind of give, if you're going to sit there and say, here's all the things I'm worried about. Here's all the reasons why it might not work. Let me also spend time believing this is going to be amazing and believing that people want this, believing that I can become a person that can make tons of money.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, why can't you have that? Why can't you have that dream? I mean, it's meant for you. If you just think about it, visualizing, I'm reading this book right now, Your Invisible Power, and it's all about visualizing. And it's so true. It's such a simple concept, but it works. And I mean, I'm going to manifest like my new house, and I'm going to manifest this career that I have. And, the visualization and like getting your mind like into that excitement mode is like really powerful. And it's something so simple, but yet it is really challenging to keep the thoughts going,
Oh, I believe it. And I am excited to tell you this story. That's so funny that you brought that up about visualizing. And because I went, before you messaged me to possibly be a guest on your podcast, I was going for a walk with my sister, and I've been coaching her for years. She's also an entrepreneur. And I said, I need to get more exposure from my podcast, and I need to go on other people's podcasts. And I just want to have fun and really have fun with this. And I'm like, what should I do? And so we were talking about it. And I said, I think I'm going to start reaching out to like 10 people a week and saying, hey, here's the value I can offer your audience. What do you think? And the next day you message me, hey, I'd love to have you as a guest. I'm telling you, it just works. When you start thinking something is possible for you, it absolutely just works. And one other thing I was going to say in terms of giving tips to like starting a business or getting started is really thinking outside the box. There's never been a better time to be at home with your kids and make tons of money.
Yeah.
There's just never been a better time. And so look at your situation and really start to question everything. Could you wake up 2 hours before your kids wake up in the morning? Could you do a mom swap with another mom like 2 days a week and get some time to yourself? Could you, what really could you potentially do to make money while you're at home with your kids? It's the best.
Yeah. Yeah. We live in such like a age where it's totally possible.
Mhm.
Like you got these like teenagers making millions of dollars on the internet. Like, why can't we get
My
a little
God.
bit of that?
Yes, so true. And I think there's one thing that I think is different with these teenagers than what's different with any woman that's like at least 40 and older, is I think that these teenagers have no problem showing up on social media,
Yeah.
no problem dancing and doing the videos and all that. And for anyone, again, that's like 40 and up, or maybe even a little bit younger, we didn't grow up doing any of that.
No.
You're not going to ever get me dancing on TikTok. Heck no. But TikTok, not TikTok. But I think a lot of moms automatically, they think I could never do that. I could never sell. I could never do the videos. I could never do the voiceovers. And that's another thing I want to offer you. You'll never see me do a video where I'm dancing. You're never going to see me do a voiceover. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me and my brand, I just don't do it.
Yeah.
And so don't stop yourself by thinking I could never do that. I'm not good at sales. Those are all beliefs that are just not true.
Yeah, I know. I mean, me like doing this and talking and putting myself on the internet is like a huge, like me stepping out of my comfort zone. It's like something I've always wanted to do, but I've like hid behind the camera or like just took a picture and, tried to be all proper or whatever, like what you call imposter syndrome a little bit. But,
Yes.
and I'm like, I'm going to go out there and do it. Like, what do I have to lose, And I think that's how anyone should be. If you have something that you're passionate about, go for it. Don't let the little gremlin, like we talked about earlier, stop you from getting out there and putting your best foot forward and, doing those TikTok videos and all that stuff. So I think that
and
it's really
finding your own
important.
way.
What'd you say?
Yeah. And finding your own way. Oh, I just said, and finding your own way. And the cool thing is you are such an awesome example of now what is possible to other women, right? There's other women that have thought, right? There's other women that are listening to your podcast and following you on Instagram that have thought about starting a podcast, but they've said, I couldn't for all these reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're doing it and you're doing it well. And they're like, maybe I could do that too.
Yeah. It awesome. Looks like I'm doing it well. No, I just play.
You are doing it well. And I'm sure that some people would say, oh, well, she should do this. And you could look at other people and say, she should do that. Well, you are doing it well, Yeah.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's a great learning experience. And, I'm just trying to be the best person that I could be. And I just want to help other women out there who are feeling lost or struggled and, and bringing like-minded women together. And, if you could take any piece of nugget from any of my podcasts, that is like an accomplishment for me. If I have inspired you to go after your dreams, if I have inspired you to be a better mom, if I've inspired you to just be happy that day, because it's so easy to be negative, then I feel like I've done my job, even if it's just one person. So I feel
the same way. You are doing it. So well done.
Yeah. Well, so are you, girl.
Thank you.
Okay. So I do have 4 questions that I ask all my first time guests. And my first question to you is, who and what inspires you?
I'm going to actually say my kids. I know that sounds kind of corny, but
no, not at all.
I think that my kids inspire me because I'm watching them go through so much change and development and growth. And I think sometimes we, as women, we go throughout our lives and we, graduate high school. A lot of us will go to college or start a career, whether you're college or not. And then a lot of us get married and maybe we have kids, maybe we don't, but we go through this, trajectory of life. And it gets to a point sometimes where we slow down in growth. Yeah. And I'm looking at my kids right now growing so much. And and failing so much and not always making good choices, but they just keep doing it. And that inspires me. It inspires me to go, I don't want to stop. I don't want to go, I have my kids, in 2 years, we're going to be empty nesters, which is crazy because I literally feel like I'm 20 years old, but we're going to be empty nesters in 2 years. And it's like, I'm just getting started. So my kids really inspire me. Don't tell them that, but they do.
Okay. Your secret's safe with me. Okay. Okay. So the second question I have for you is, what is something you wished you knew when you were younger?
Yes, I think that I wish I would have known the importance of thinking big. I think that in my jewelry business for so many years, and I don't regret it, but like I would make like $8,000, right? And I was like I never thought I'm going to make tons of money. I'm going to be a life coach. I had no idea. Yeah. So I would make like $8,000 and I would be so thrilled, right? And then I'd be like, next year, I'm going to go for 10. So then next year I would make 10 or maybe 11. And then, and finally, one year I was like, I'm done messing around. Let's see if I could get to like 50,000 or maybe it was 40. And it was just, and then I did it. I like doubled my sales and it was like, wait a minute. And then I had this moment, I think I had my biggest grossing year and my husband goes, what are you going to do next year? What's going to be your goal? And I said, you know what? I'm going to make one more dollar than you so I can be the breadwinner of this house. And we started laughing. It was hilarious. And it started out as a joke. And then it really came true. And it exploded my mind as to what's possible when you really think big.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that. That gave me like chills,
Oh, so fun. It's so fun for my kids to see, because I remember telling my kids, because when I was saying this, my kids were like 5 and 8 or whatever. And I remember saying, I'm going to be the breadwinner. And they're like, Mom, what is a breadwinner? I'm like, that means that I own everything in this house. Everything is mine. Of course, we were laughing and my husband's delighted with the whole thing. But to be able to go into their room right after the beginning of the year, that year, and wake each of them up and say, hey, I am the breadwinner, and have them look at me and go, are you serious? And I go, yes. And like, they realized just how amazing and fun that is. So it's an amazing thing to teach them to think big.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. They lead by example. So my third question is, what's the essential part of your daily routine?
Oh, that's a good one. What is the essential part? You talked about motivation. I think for me, the biggest thing I do that I'm really grateful that I do is I will schedule my day. I usually schedule on Mondays. I schedule my whole week out. Like it takes an hour. I schedule what I'm going to be doing every day. Now, obviously we're moms. So like stuff comes up for sure. My son will say, I left my wrestling shoes, and I have, you do have to pivot. But if nothing like that comes up and all of a sudden it's 2:00 and my alarm goes off on my phone and it said, you're supposed to be making 3 reels and 1 10-minute video, I'm not going to want to do that ever. I'm not going to want to do anything in the moment.
Yeah.
But I know that my future self and my past self really wanted me to do this. So I have gained the skill of not feeling motivated and doing it anyways. So and to me, I work a lot with my clients on that, because I think a lot of people in the whole world are sitting around waiting to feel motivated. And that's a problem. Can you actually show up for your life? Can you show up for your dreams, even if you don't feel motivated?
Exactly. Yeah. One important thing is like, just try to carve out time each day to work on your dream, even if it's just like writing a sentence, if it's whatever your dream is, just carve out a little bit of time for yourself to work on it, even when you're not motivated. And my last question to you is the best advice you've ever received.
Oh, the best advice I've ever received was to like my reason. So when we make a lot of decisions during the day and, for our futures, but also even during the day. And I really try to say, do I like my reasons for this? And it could even be something as silly as like, I will say, okay, I'm decided that I really am like, I have an ear infection right now. So I'm like, I've decided I'm not going to drink for a week. And I'm not a big drinker anyways, but I've decided I'm not going to drink for a week, because when I drink, I don't sleep as well.
Yeah.
And so then tonight, if all of a sudden my girlfriend's like, hey girl, wine time. And I'm like, oh, I decide, okay, am I going to do this or not? Do I like my reasons? Like if I say, yes, I'm going to have a drink because I haven't seen her in a long time. And whatever, do I like that reason or do I not like that reason? Really deciding what is my intentionality behind this? What do I like my reason?
I like that. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's a good little piece of advice. So I like my reason. That's good. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah.
All right,
Good.
Courtney. Well, it's been such an honor having you on. Do you have any last words for the guests? I will have all of her information down in the show notes below if you'd like to connect with Courtney, talk to her, if you want her to help you out with coaching or anything you have. But do you have any last words before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I guess I can just say that I work with women one-on-one. There's a lot of group coaching programs out there, and I will develop a group coaching program eventually. But right now I work with women one-on-one. So it's private one-on-one coaching.
Mhm.
And I think I gave you a freebie where I do workshops that are really powerful. And my most popular workshop ever is I did it at the end of last year, and it's called Create More Money in 2022. And it really walks you through creating a vision, figuring out your why, what things you're willing to do, and action steps. And you literally leave the webinar or workshop, with like a plan of how to create more money in your life. So it's pretty powerful. So if anyone is interested, I would love for them to, to get that.
Of course. All right, Courtney. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. And thank you guys for listening to another episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.